Why would defeated enemies praise the man who conquered them? Why would people who fought against him remember him with respect instead of hatred? The answer lies in the story of a leader whose reputation spread across continents, religions, and centuries. A man whose greatest victory may not have been winning battles, but winning the admiration of those he defeated. His name was Saladin, and his story made him one of history's most legendary rulers. Before we begin, thank you for coming back and spending a few moments with us today. History often remembers people for the battles they fought and the victories they achieved. But sometimes, the most enduring legacies are built through the choices leaders make after the fighting is over. Tonight's story takes us into a world of kingdoms, conflict, and ambition, where one man's character would become just as famous as his accomplishments. So settle in, and let's step back into history. And if you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and join us for the next one. The year was 1137 or 1138. Somewhere in the city of Tikrit, in what is now Iraq, a boy was born into a Kurdish family serving powerful rulers in the Middle East. That boy would grow up during one of the most turbulent periods in medieval history. The Crusades had transformed the region. Christian Crusader states established themselves in territories long ruled by Muslim powers. Kingdoms fought constantly. Alliances shifted. Cities changed hands. And religion often became intertwined with politics and war. Into this complex world stepped the future leader history would remember as Saladin. His full name was Salah ad-Din Yusuf ibn Ayyub. The name Salah ad-Din roughly translates to righteousness of the faith. At the time, however, he was simply a young man growing up in a military family. Nothing about his early years clearly predicted the fame that awaited him. Unlike some conquerors who seemed obsessed with warfare from childhood, Saladin reportedly showed interests beyond the battlefield. Historical sources suggest he studied religion, literature, and law. He was educated, thoughtful, and not initially viewed as the obvious future ruler of a vast empire. The Middle East of the 12th century was politically fragmented. Various Muslim dynasties competed for influence. Crusader states controlled important territories. Regional rulers often fought one another as much as they fought external enemies. This division frustrated many leaders who believed unity was necessary if the region hoped to resist Crusader expansion. One of the most influential figures pursuing that goal was Nur ad-Din. Saladin would eventually rise under his influence. During his early military career, Saladin accompanied his uncle Shirkuh on campaigns into Egypt. At the time, Egypt was ruled by the weakening Fatimid Caliphate. Political instability created opportunities for ambitious leaders. Several competing powers sought influence over the region. The situation was complicated, dangerous, and constantly changing. Yet amid this uncertainty, Saladin demonstrated qualities that attracted attention. Not just military ability, judgment, patience, diplomacy. When Shirkuh died in 1169, something unexpected happened. Saladin became vizier of Egypt. For many observers, the appointment seemed surprising. He was relatively young. Others possessed more experience. Some doubted whether he could maintain authority. They underestimated him. Over the following years, Saladin carefully consolidated power. He strengthened Egypt's military, reformed administration, expanded influence, and gradually aligned Egypt with the broader Sunni Muslim world. His rise was not built solely through battlefield victories. It relied heavily on political skill. He understood that durable power required more than armies. It required institutions, alliances, legitimacy. As his influence grew, Saladin faced an enormous challenge. The Muslim world remained divided. Different rulers controlled different territories. Old rivalries persisted. Yet Saladin increasingly promoted the idea of unity against the Crusader states. Achieving that unity would take years. Negotiation. Conflict. Compromise. And determination. Slowly, he expanded his authority across Egypt and Syria. A new power was emerging. By the 1180s, Saladin had become one of the most powerful rulers in the region. And attention increasingly focused on the Kingdom of Jerusalem. The Crusader state occupied territory considered sacred by multiple religions. Tensions between Christian and Muslim powers remained high. Periodic truces occurred. But conflict never felt far away. Eventually, events pushed both sides toward confrontation. One figure contributed significantly to escalating tensions. Reynaud of Chatillon. Reynaud gained a reputation for aggressive actions against Muslim caravans and travelers. Some contemporary Muslim sources viewed him as especially provocative. His attacks violated agreements and heightened hostilities. Saladin reportedly regarded these actions as intolerable. War became increasingly likely. The decisive moment arrived in 1187. Near the Horns of Hattin, close to the Sea of Galilee, Saladin's forces confronted the army of the Kingdom of Jerusalem. The resulting Battle of Hattin became one of the most significant battles of the Crusades. Saladin's forces successfully cut off access to water during intense summer heat. Crusader forces became exhausted, disorganized, and vulnerable. The battle ended in a devastating defeat for the Kingdom of Jerusalem. Many leading Crusader nobles were captured. The balance of power shifted dramatically. The victory opened the path toward Jerusalem itself. For both Christians and Muslims, Jerusalem held immense religious significance. Its history stretched back thousands of years. Its symbolic importance was enormous. When news spread that Saladin was approaching, fear spread through the city. Many remembered what happened when Crusaders captured Jerusalem in 1099. Contemporary accounts describe widespread killing during that conquest. Residents worried about revenge. They expected the worst. What happened next became one of the defining moments of Saladin's legacy. After negotiations, Jerusalem surrendered in October 1187. Rather than ordering large-scale reprisals, Saladin allowed many residents to leave after paying ransom fees. Some individuals unable to pay reportedly received assistance from officials or were freed through acts of charity. Modern historians note that conditions were not ideal and that many hardships remained. Yet compared to expectations, and compared to some earlier medieval conquests, the capture was widely viewed as relatively restrained. The contrast became part of Saladin's reputation. Stories about his conduct spread rapidly. Some accounts became embellished over time. Others reflected genuine historical observations. Christian chroniclers who opposed him militarily sometimes still acknowledged qualities they admired. This was unusual. Medieval writers often portrayed enemies in extremely negative terms. Saladin proved difficult to fit into simple stereotypes. His reputation expanded even further during the Third Crusade. The loss of Jerusalem shocked Europe. In response, powerful rulers launched a new crusade. Among them was one of the most famous monarchs of the medieval era, Richard I of England. The confrontation between Richard and Saladin became legendary. Though the two leaders never met face to face, their campaigns against one another entered historical memory across both Europe and the Middle East. The Third Crusade produced fierce battles and dramatic moments. Richard achieved notable military successes. Saladin demonstrated resilience and strategic skill. Neither side achieved everything it wanted. Jerusalem remained under Muslim control. Yet Christian access to certain holy sites was negotiated. The conflict ended not with total victory but with compromise. In medieval warfare, such outcomes were often rare. Over time, stories about Saladin's generosity multiplied. Some are well documented. Others belong more to legend than verified history. One frequently repeated tale describes him sending physicians or gifts to Richard during periods of illness. While historians debate details of specific incidents, many contemporary sources agree that Saladin developed a reputation for chivalry and magnanimity unusual enough to attract attention even among opponents. It is important, however, not to turn Saladin into a flawless figure. He was a medieval ruler engaged in medieval warfare. His campaigns involved violence. Political rivals were defeated. Military objectives remained central to his career. Like all major historical leaders, he operated within the realities of his time. Understanding that complexity matters. Admiration should not require mythologizing. Yet even when historians strip away centuries of romantic storytelling, Saladin remains remarkable. He united territories previously divided. Defeated powerful opponents. Captured Jerusalem. And established a dynasty that would influence the region long after his death. Those achievements alone secure his place in history. Perhaps the most revealing detail emerged at the end of his life. When Saladin died in Damascus in 1193, he had ruled vast territories and commanded immense resources. Yet accounts from the period suggest he left relatively little personal wealth. Much of his fortune had reportedly been distributed through charitable giving, military expenses, and public obligations. Whether every later story about his generosity is accurate or not, contemporaries clearly associated him with personal modesty. For a conqueror, that reputation was unusual. Today, Saladin remains one of the most respected figures in Middle Eastern history. His name appears in literature, films, historical studies, and cultural memory across numerous countries. At the same time, he continues attracting interest from historians around the world. Not because he was perfect, but because he was complicated. A warrior remembered for mercy. A conqueror remembered for restraint. An enemy respected by many who fought against him. The people who faced Saladin on the battlefield feared him for good reason. He commanded armies, won major victories, and reshaped the political landscape of the Middle East. Yet what made him endure in history was not simply the cities he captured. Many conquerors captured cities. Many won wars. Most were forgotten. Saladin became something rarer. A leader whose reputation crossed cultural boundaries. A man remembered not only by those who followed him, but also by many who once stood against him. And in an age defined by conflict, that may have been his greatest victory of all.